Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, reporting to you from the Overflow Room. And today we are going to talk about this fabulous commemorative box, 40 years of Chandos records, which I call Chandos and they call something like Chandos or something that sounds terribly pompous and impressive, but I don't care. I anglicize. I don't anglicize, I Americanicize. I do whatever I want to do. That's the bottom line. So here we have Chandos, the sound of classical for 40 years. Landmarks of 40 years of the label. 40 years, has it been that long? I mean, that's really, really amazing. And, I've been with them since my late teens for all 40 years. So first, I need to congratulate Chandos on 40 fabulous, mostly fabulous years. But what really makes this interesting, of course, it's 40 discs for 40 years, is what they decide to put in and what they leave out, because that gives us a marvelous opportunity to take a little tour of the label over its storied history. Chandos is one of the first and still the best labels to take advantage of the cracks in the sidewalk left by the major labels. That is, they exploited interesting repertoire, and they were able to do it because of the excellence of lesser-known artists and ensembles, provincial orchestras, fine artists who didn't get major label contracts, and also, this is really, really important, the advent of digital technology, superior recording, and also superior packaging and presentation. In other words, they simply made a better quality product. And that really mattered. And the sad thing is, it matters much less today, especially in the days of streaming and digital downloads, where the quality of the product is almost irrelevant. And not only that, the way people listen to music these days, even if you have lossless downloads and whatnot, through little ear thingies and walking around and driving around, and people no longer have high-end hi-fi systems and specified designated listening rooms. Some of us do. There are audiophiles and people who really make listening an event. But for most of us, and I'm one of them, I just play music everywhere, because you can get today basically very good sound, or very acceptable sound, through any device or medium in which you play it. And independent labels like Chandos were instrumental in fostering that, in making that possible, because the product was so high quality and because the sound was so good almost anywhere you put it. But I'm very interested to see what 40 discs they chose, because I have not gone through this yet. As often is the case, I like to discover things at the same time you do. It makes things so much more interesting. So you open the box, and there it is. It's rather nice, and it has a listing of contents on the inner flap here, which is quite handy. And there's also like a paper thing that comes with it, that you throw away when you open up the plastic. And then you have a bookie, which I haven't even read, but which I assume says all kinds of wonderful things about the label, which we can, look, you get pictures. Yes, you have pictures of Chandos people. I guess that's what those are. Look at them, all the little Chandosites. Is that what you call them? And then we have, here we have the contents list. And then from Ralph Cousins, the managing director, and pictures of artists and all kinds of stuff. And that's it. There's not much in here worth looking at, unless you want to see pictures of classical musicians who, let's face it, are not the most photogenic people in the world. Neither are classical music critics, I might add. But that's all right. What we lack in cosmetic allure, we make up for in intelligence. At least some of us try to. Okay. Here's the first batch, discs 1 through 9. Well, let's get 10 here so that we can do them in clumps. So here's clump number 1, and we have, oh yes, absolutely fabulous, absolutely wonderful. Bach's Symphony Number 4 with the Ulster Orchestra and Bryden Thompson. This is truly a classic. First of all, for its sonic excellence. Remember that opening with the organ pedal? I mean, I still remember the organ pedal 40 years later, or whenever it was. I mean, really, just tremendous. And wonderful performance. And it has Tintagel with it, which is glorious. And it introduced us to the Ulster Orchestra and to Bryden Thompson. And yes, absolutely a classic. Tchaik 5 with Maris Janssens. This was also a major release. This was a fabulous story because at the time it was told, that they had done this Tchaikovsky Fifth and they wanted to do a Tchaikovsky cycle. Nobody knew about Maris Janssens and no one cared about the Oslo Philharmonic. And it sounded fabulous, this disc. And so they made them all. And none of them were quite as good as this disc, but they were still very good. And the point was that it was then that we realized that there were ensembles of great quality outside of the big name orchestras, and B, they wanted to make records, and they wanted to make records of standard repertoire, and they could do it and be fully competitive. And this was one of those discs that really kind of rocked the classical world. So that's a great one. And then we have Rachmaninoff piano trios with the Borodin Trio. These were fun records. I mean, their Shostakovich Second Trio was a really incendiary, and the Rachmaninoff trios are quite beautiful too. This is hot and heavy Russian playing. Big, bold, heavily accented, sweaty, and emphatic. And some people think it's a bit too much, but what the heck. Oh, this is wonderful too. The Shostakovich duo, father and son, Maxim and Dmitri Jr., doing the first piano concerto at absolutely insane tempos, although I think they've been even more insane in the meantime. And the Chamber Symphony, that is the Eighth Quartet, in one of those, just the opposite of what that boring Andres Nelson's recording was that I talked about recently. Really, really laceratingly intense, fantastic record. Absolutely fantastic. So, oh my God, this is quite a series. Quite a series. Prokofiev 6 with Yarvi. Another revelation. Still the reference recording in Prokofiev 6 that really is with the Scottish National Orchestra. Another one of those fantastic recordings sonically. The recordings that Chandos made in Ulster and in Glasgow were so spectacular. And this was really fabulous at the beginning of Yarvi's Prokofiev cycle, one of the most successful things he ever did. And still the cycle to own if you're owning only one. Marvelous. And this one, oh boy, isn't this fun? So far we're having a great time. We're only up to disc 6. Respighi, Belkis, Queen of Sheba, and the Metamorphosion with the Philharmonia and Jeffrey Simon, who was running around doing obscure Respighi things and other stuff, and Stokowski transcriptions and all kinds of interesting things. A beautiful, beautiful disc, now with one of the major London orchestras. I remember so well collecting these things when they first came out and how exciting it was to have all of this unusual repertoire presented in first-class performances with terrific sonics. It really made the label. It did. Now, we have some tremendous soloists. Stephen Huff, who has since decamped to Hyperion, another totally fabulous independent label. I'd like to see them do an anniversary box as well that we could talk about. That would be fun. But here we have Hummel piano concertos. These were lovely and also a tremendous discovery because it was like Mozart with modern technique. They're wonderful performances. Again, this is with Bryden Thompson and the English Chamber Orchestra. And they made Huff an artist to pay attention to recognize, who's since gone on to have an absolutely fabulous career. And they restored Hummel's reputation to a certain extent, and another fantastic exploration of niche repertoire. Now this, of course, absolutely had to be there. Had to be there. One disc out of 3 of the Chandos anthems. I mean, you got to have the Chandos anthems if you're the Chandos label. And this is still, I believe, the only complete set of all the Chandos anthems. And it's a fabulous, fabulous bunch of performances. It's with the 16 with Harry Christophers, who were also new to many, 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 many of us. Now they have their own label, Coro. So, I mean, isn't that like remarkable? they launched the career of so many artists, and here they are doing the Chandos anthems. You have to have that, and oh my goodness. Yes, the Shostakovich Violin Concertos with Lydia Mordkovich and Yarvi again with the Scottish National Orchestra. These were also very, very powerful performances from a soloist who wasn't all that well known. She's still not all that well known, but she really played the pants off of them. Very, very exciting recording. And also at a time when the two Shostakovich piano concertos were basically the property of David Oistrakh, and not many other people were doing them. And to have them both on one disc was like really cool. In modern sound, it was a big deal. And then, Walton. Now, Chandos, of course, did a complete Walton edition. It's first class in every respect. And the discs of the film music particularly were marvelous. And this is Henry V and some other goodies that were used in the film. And this Walton film music was wonderful. These Shakespeare plays, it was so much fun. That's just the first 10. And then things are going to start to get more interesting, I think, because after that, the label started to go further afield. And, not surprisingly, going further afield resulted in mixed success. But we'll see how mixed it got to be. Oh, Nigel Kennedy. Remember him? First he was Nigel Kennedy, then he was just plain Kennedy, then he was just Neddy, and then he was just D, and then he was just Ken, then he became Nigel Kennedy again, and now we don't know where he is. This is Elgar Short Cute Things with Peter Pettinger piano, and it's all of his short little salon pieces, and it's quite charming and lovely, and I don't really understand why it's here, maybe because he was a person at the time. I don't know. I don't think it's important or matters. The Black Dyke Mills Band, Complete Champions. This is a great disc. This is original band music. You've got John Wilfred Heaton, his contest music. There it is. And George Lloyd's Royal Parks, and Gilbert Vinter's Salute to Youth, and John McCabe's Cloudcatcher Falls. This is a terrific disc of band music, original compositions, a terrific band. This is great. I wish they'd done more of this stuff, to be honest with you. They were really going somewhere with the band music stuff, but they didn't follow it up with the same enthusiasm that they did some of their other series. And then we have the King's Singers, original debut recording with the Gordon Langford Trio, singing all kinds of stuff. Oh, they do Cherry Ripe and Shenandoah and Wives and Lovers, and this is the kind of thing I would sooner die than listen to. But maybe they probably sold a ton of them, so I can't complain. You have to give them the right to make their choices based on what they think either sold or was popular or what they think their best work was. And that's what's so interesting about this. Granger! Orchestral works. Oh, look! Molly on the Shore. Shepherd's Hey! Oh, boy! Look at that! And all of this exciting stuff in a nutshell suite. And Green Bushes. You got to have Green Bushes. And the English Dance and Fisher's Boarding House. And oh, my goodness, this is so much fun. Actually, Shepherd's Hey isn't on here. But the Complete Granger edition, which is sort of still kind of ongoing. It came out in a box, and then it came out more complete just recently. And I talked about that. There's a video about it. You might as well use this video because it's all the same music 400 times over in every conceivable arrangement. A fabulous piece of work by such an interesting composer, and you can have a little fun at his expense, and it isn't going to kill anyone. Okay, Haydn, the Creation Mass, and the early Missa Rorate Celli di Super, and the Creation Mass, Haydn's Alternate Gloria for Marie Therese. Yes, the one where, he sort of, changed some of the tunes because it was considered sort of sacrilegious. That's our buddy Haydn. Now, these performances with Richard Hickox of the Haydn Masses, I found rather pale. They're not bad. They're sort of periody. There are more enthusiastically sung and performed performances of the Haydn masses than these with Hickox. Here's a lovely disc, though. Lily Boulanger. She wrote like 5 pieces, then dropped dead. And so they're all here. The Psalm 24, Faust and Helen, that's the big deal, the big long cantata thing. And it's quite lovely, beautiful, beautiful music. Nadia Boulanger's sister, her younger sister, who was in frail health and was only in her 20s when she passed away. So this disc of Lily Boulanger music is very nice. And it was also interesting because you have, Chandos doing things that were straying from the usual English Renaissance type, group of people. But this is the BBC Philharmonic, soon to become their house orchestra under Jan Pascal Tortelier. Number 17. An important but not terribly successful effort, in my view. This was the original version of Vaughan Williams' London Symphony, with all of the parts he edited and cut out, put back, and showing conclusively that he was absolutely right to edit them and cut them out because it's really not better. It's just longer and somewhat duller. And Richard Hickox conducting. Now, Hickox, as a purely orchestral conductor, had his successes. He really did, and his failures. But the Vaughan Williams cycle was a big failure. It was just bad. I don't know what went wrong or why he didn't really respond to this music. I mean, he conducted it, but they turned out to be very, very uninteresting or almost perverse at times performances. And this recording was one of their first SACDs. It wasn't so great sonically. One of the interesting things, actually, about Chandos is that the sonics in the halls in, for example, Ulster and Glasgow were much better than in the London orchestras. The recordings that they did in London could be wonderful. Some of the ones with the London Symphony were among the better ones, but they were highly variable. Sometimes they sounded great. Sometimes they just sounded blowsy and tubby. And this was one of those that was sort of in the less than tactile set. It had sort of mushy bass. And I just remember being very disappointed both with the sonics and with the performance. But that was me. Oh, look, Dido and Aeneas with the choir and orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment. An excellent cast. Sarah Connolly, Gerald Finley, Lucy Crowe. I mean, wonderful, wonderful singers. Fantastic performance and a beautiful, beautiful performance. And it's not conducted, it seems, by anybody. It's just like they all got together and did it. It says, these are outstanding performances from a stellar cast of soloists. Yes. Right. Oh, and Sarah Connolly is a dame. Wow. She's a dame. There is nothing like a dame. So that's nice. And then we have The Spirit of Brazil with the Aquarelle Guitar Quartet, a disc, again, that I would sooner slit my wrists than actually have to listen to. And I haven't, and I won't. Because although I am as big a keep-on-listening fan as anything, we all have to choose our poison, don't we? Because life is too short, and there's only so many hours in the day. And guitar quartets are one of those things that I studiously avoid after having done my penance, having to listen to lots of them in the days when I was a critic who did reviews on assignment. Oh. Gerald Finley, baritone, opera in English from the Peter Moores Foundation. Now, of course, the opera in English series was wonderful and brought us all kinds of nifty stuff on Chandos, and I don't think there are any complete operas in here other than Dido and Aeneas. Maybe there are. So you've got a whole bunch of Gerald Finley arias by everybody from Bizet to Turnage to Verdi to Adams, showing his extraordinary versatility as an artist. And if you're into those things at these recitals, it's a slam bang recital. So now we're up through disc 20. And now we're going to get up to 30. Let's see. Here we are. 30. You ready? Yes. Oh, this is a beautiful disc too. Jean-Ephraim Bavouzet, who's done wonderful work on the label, a gorgeous complete cycle of Debussy piano music. You get the 2 Ravel concertos, Debussy's Fantasy, with the piano Fantasy, which is just shamefully neglected and absolutely gorgeous, and a bunch of pieces by Massenet as a filler. A wonderful, wonderful disc. Beautiful and lovely, even though Chandos has the Ravel concertos. I think they have them with Louis Lorty, and they're also very, very good. You know, can't have too many Ravel and concertos and Debussy and French stuff, can you? Okay, the Schumann string quartets with the Doric string quartet. Now, the Doric string quartet is a very good string quartet as long as they're not playing Haydn. Because their Haydn has been horrible. But these Schumann quartets were quite successful, and it's very nice to have Opus 41, all three quartets. It's a 74-minute disc on a single disc. So that was nice to have, and it introduced us to an ensemble that represents the best and the worst of modern ensemble playing. Why? Because when they're playing romantic music, they're fine. But when they're doing classical music, apparently they adopt all of that period instrument bullshit about how to uglify your sound and make the performance as inexpressive and mannered as you possibly can. And that's such a mistake. I mean, why are these people doing that? Why? I don't get it. I do not get it. Oh, this is interesting. Northern Lights. Choral works by Ola Jello. How do you pronounce Jello? I don't know this person. This is my buddy David Vernier's territory, but the Phoenix Chorale is terrific under Charles Bruffy, and they've done some beautiful work on Chandos. So this is an interesting selection, which frankly I missed. I haven't heard it. I'm going to. When we're done, I'm going to take it back. I'm going to listen to this because that looks like really cool stuff. Very, very interesting. The Brodsky Quartet, favorite encores. This has 21 discs of little string quartet encores. And if you like little string quartet encores, what can I tell you? Go for it. They're cute. They're charming. Now, here's a fairly recent one. Yarvi conducts Saint-Saëns. This has all kinds of fun stuff. The Bacchanal from Samson and Delilah, the tone poems, all of the tone poems, all four of them. Yes, Le Rouet d'Omphale and Phaeton and Danse Macabre and La Jeunesse d'Hercule. It's wonderful. And the Marche Militaire Français and the Overture to La Princesse Jeanne. And oh my God, Spartacus Overture. What Chandos did almost better than anybody. Take a decent conductor, give him a good orchestra, the Scottish National, yay. Record the living daylights out of them and just let them play the crap out of whatever they're doing. And it's just wonderful. Oh, a beautiful disc. Music by Paul Ben Chaim with the Arc Ensemble. These have been wonderful discs with the Arc Ensemble. Chamber music by Paul Ben Chaim it's wonderful music. He was a fine composer, and this disc is just lovely. I mean, you get his clarinet quintet, his piano quartet, 2 landscapes for viola and piano, canzonetta, and improvisation and dance for violin and piano. Beautiful performances of interesting repertoire, which is what they do as well as anybody ever has. Terrific. Oh, here we are. American Piano Concertos, Gershwin, Copeland, Barber. Someone else paid for it, and it's a completely unnecessary, uninteresting, and tepidly played disc with Jian Wang. I don't understand why they made that. It's just not good. Tasman Little. Yes, the Morand Violin Concerto, which is lovely, a lovely work. And Delius's Legend for violin and orchestra, and Holst's Song of the Night for violin and orchestra, and arrangements of Elgar, little teeny hoochie things for violin and orchestra, and The Lark Ascending, the BBC Philharmonic, Andrew Davis, a lovely disc. Absolutely lovely for English violin music fanciers. And oh, look at this one. Sibelius, the Violin Concerto, the Corelia Suite, the Swan of Twinella, the Valse Lyrique, the Valse Triste, the Andante Festivo, and Finlandia, with the Bergen Philharmonic, Jennifer Pike on the violin, and Andrew Davis. It's okay. It's okay, but there's so many fabulous performances of the Violin Concerto. This is not one of them. The shorter works have all been recorded before. I'm a little bit puzzled. There are better things that they could have chosen. Okay. Oh, another band one. Yes, British classics. Oh, I love it. The Holst Band Suites. Yay! Yay, and the Vaughan Williams English Folk Song Suite, and Granger's Lincolnshire Posy, and Tomlinson's Suite of English Folk Dances, and Gordon Langford's Rhapsody. Oh, this is hot stuff. Hot stuff, band people. Here, I'm holding it closer. British band classics. Yes, the Central Band of the Royal Air Force. Go for it. Royal Air Force, the RAF. They're wonderful. I think that's fabulous. Like I said, they make great band records. I wish they'd done more. I really do. But now we're into the home stretch. This is it. The last 10. Okay. Copeland. Ballets with John Wilson. Suites from Billy the Kid, Appalachian Spring, 4 dance episodes from Rodeo, Fanfare for the Common Man, El Salon, Mexico. Good, solid Copeland from John Wilson and the BBC Philharmonic. They really are. They're good performances. You know, everyone will have their favorites. They may be not the best things in the universe, but they're well done and exciting and 79 minutes of music, and I'm not going to complain. I complained a little bit in my regular reviews. You can read them on classicstoday.com, but basically, it's just good stuff. It was a good series of Copeland orchestral music, and it was daring of Chandos to go ahead and do it because, you know, they had not spent all that much time in the American world, aside from the big, long series, which I hope is in here somewhere. I don't think it is. Let me look. I'm looking. No, there's nothing here with the Detroit Symphony and Yarvi. And that's kind of a shame because they did a lot of good work and interesting repertoire, just as interesting as the British repertoire, I might add. And they could have thrown something in there, especially the Duke Ellington stuff. I mean, why not? Why not, folks? Where's that? All right. Maybe it didn't sell. I don't know. Maybe they're not proud of it. Okay. Yes. All right. This was a very successful disc. Surprisingly so. Janacek Orchestral Works, Volume 3. This is a good series. You get the Glagolitic Mass, the Adagio, the Zdenka, what is this? Yes, the Zdriva. This is choral music. Holy Hail Mary and the Our Father, Lord's Prayer, cantata thing. A very, very good disc. Surprisingly good because this is with, Edward Gardner is a very good conductor. He usually does excellent work. And this is with the Bergen Philharmonic, and it's really, really good. I was very pleasantly surprised because, you know, you never know what to expect when other people do Janacek. I mean, it can be a real hit or miss kind of thing, but this was a hit. This was very, very good. And Albéniz, this is fun. Piano Concerto Number 1, the Concerto Fantastico, which is really rather ordinary and romantic. It's not terribly fantastico, but it's pretty. And the Suite Espagnola and the Rhapsodia Espagnola. And the Suite from the Opera, the Magic Opal. Now, there's something unusual. How wonderful. This is with the BBC Philharmonic again, under Juanjo Mena, who actually was one of the conductors who almost always got good results from the BBC Philharmonic, which I've always referred to as the dullest orchestra in the world, because they are thoroughly professional and completely lacking in personality unless they get a conductor who really drives them. And these are very successful performances. Martin Roscoe is the very able and capable pianist. Maybe I'm not so big on Martin Roscoe and the Albéniz Concerto because the concerto itself is not the most interesting piece in the world, but it's a very, very nice disc all the same. And it's nice to have because everybody loves Albéniz. Okay, a Fauré recital with Louis Lorty. I'm so glad this is here because Louis Lorty has done wonderful, wonderful work, including the best Saint-Saëns piano concerto cycle ever. It'd be awfully nice if some of that was in here, but I will take this lovely Fauré recital, which features Lorty as a soloist, and it's fine with me. Just him alone, showcasing his estimable art. And let's see, Mozart, piano concertos, part of the piano concerto series with Jean-Ephraim Bavouzet and the Manchester Camerata under Gabor Takács-Nagy. They're Nagy, however you pronounce that in Hungarian. These are very good performances too, although I'm a little bit baffled because we have Bavouzet. We have Bavouzet. I don't see any need to have more Bavouzet. There's a lot more stuff that they might have included, and they have not. And so I think, I would much rather have something like, the Carmen Suite with I Musici de Montreal, wouldn't that be fun? They have the Shostakovich, but that's what the Shostakovich is. Give Yuli Turovsky a shot, why don't you? There's a wonderful, wonderful series of recordings with them. That would be nice, but not here. Not here. Reicha Rediscovered, really going to be a great series Wonderful series. Ivan Illich is a wonderful pianist. Interesting and thought-provoking, and the music is interesting and thought-provoking, and this is just terrific. Get this series. There's a couple Reicha series going on of piano music, and they're all worth hearing, I think. Reicha was such a fascinating composer, and it's nice to know that there's still interesting repertoire out there that people haven't explored and that Chandos is willing to do, because, they had a period in the middle there when they were sort of doing all the same stuff everyone else was doing. They started doing basic repertoire things. They started going head to head with the majors, and it wasn't like they were any less or any more successful. It was just that nobody needed it because there was so much stuff. Really, the label does best when it doesn't have any competition, not because we don't know any better or because it's lesser quality, but because first of all, you want to be the only show in town if you can, and second of all, I think there's a certain freshness and sense of discovery when you have proprietary repertoire performed by really, really, really good artists, and no one else is going to do it. So yes, stick with that, please, folks. I really think you should. Oh, this is a wonderful disc. This is Kara Karayev, The Seven Beauties, and Don Quixote, and Layla, and Majnun, and The Lullaby from the Path of Thunder. He was a good composer. Really, really good composer, colleague of Shostakovich, absolutely an Azeri composer and a first-rate talent. And The Seven Beauties is a wonderful, wonderful ballet. I'd love to hear the whole ballet. I really think someone should do it. The suite's terrific. And so this with Kirill Karabits and the Bournemouth Symphony is just a terrific disc. Everyone should have the Seven Beauties suite, and you should have a Karayev disc in your collection, no matter what you do. So this was really good. I noticed, by the way, so far, let's see, yeah, right, okay, that there is no Valery Polyansky in here. That's a good thing. That was probably the worst series of records that Chandos made. They were right to omit everything that they possibly could. They did a lot of basic repertoire and some interesting stuff. Most of it was just awful. Oh my God. Okay, Grazina Bachevich. Oh, her two piano quintets with the Silesian Quartet. This is worth having. This is really good. She was another very good composer. Excellent music. Chandos is not really a chamber music label. It's known for its sort of big orchestral blockbuster productions, but I think this is really, really fine and nice to have. Let's see, what else have we got here? Domenico Scarlatti with Federico Colli on the piano. This comes in chapters. Yes, the Sonatas Volume 1. I remember this. Yeah. One is The Power of Illusion, Live Happily, The Return of Order, Enchantment and Prayer. 16 discs, 16 sonatas, 4 sonatas in each chapter. The performances strike me as variable, let's say. Just variable. Some okay, some not so okay. But that's me. And then finally, disc 40, the Ruth Gibbs Symphonies 2 and 4. Knight in Armour, a song for orchestra. This is with the BBC National Orchestra of Wales under Rumon Gamba. I have to say, I am so unimpressed by Ruth Gibbs. I know she's a woman, she's a composer. We have to do it because she's a woman and she's a composer. She's in the Vaughan Williams tradition. I think, it's politically correct. I also think that Chandos has basically run out of English composers of merit to record, or most of them anyway. They've done a lot, but Gibbs is okay. It's okay. It's decent. It's not inspired. It's not particularly memorable, but it's absolutely in keeping with the tradition. And some of you may disagree with me. Now, where does this leave us? As a sampler of the Chandos reputation and recording history over the decades, it's awfully impressive. Really, really impressive. You can only sit back and give them a large applause for what they've done over the years. Just some really stunning work. Most importantly, I think, in the unusual repertoire, and also in fostering the career of all kinds of artists who've since gone on to other things. Like I said, there's Stephen Huff, there was Yarvi, they've done wonderful, wonderful work. They left out some things. Of course they left out some things. I would definitely have included, I know they already had Bryden Thompson. I would definitely have included the Malcolm Arnold English dances. I mean, that was such an amazing disc. And the Malcolm Arnold Symphony Series was much, much more important and interesting than the Hickox Vaughan Williams series, in my view. William Alwyn, would have been nice to have some of that. It's lovely, lovely stuff. But I think the biggest omission here, and really sort of an embarrassing omission, I don't understand why, is Alexander Gibson. Because Alexander Gibson made some of the best records on the label. And before the digital era. All of this stuff is after the digital era. But you have to remember that Chandos originally got started doing RCA, recording stuff for RCA with Alexander Gibson. That's where this stuff first appeared. And then it switched over to Chandos. They had, for example, the Jose Cerebriere Ives Fourth Symphony. They have the Reader's Digest. They have the Rachmaninoff piano concertos with Earl Wild and Yasha Horenstein. They have, but Gibson, Sibelius. Gibson's Sibelius was amazing. First of all, his Nielsen 4 is incredible. Then his Sibelius symphonies are fabulous. And he did a lot more than just the symphonies, because in the pre-digital era, he did, the Lemminkainen Legends and the 2-disc set of tone poems, which is as good as anything out there. Really, Gibson deserves a box. And Chandos is not really big. I mean, this is a box, right? And Granger was in a box. They have a few boxes out there. But they're not really a boxy type label. They prefer to keep things out at full price. I don't blame them. They should get whatever they can for it. But really, Gibson deserves some credit and a tribute of his own for the things he did well. There were some things he didn't do well. I mean, he did the Nielsen 4, it was great. He did the Nielsen 5, it wasn't so great. So it was variable. He did Walton 1, it was okay. And Belshazzar's Feast, I think he did, it was like, There were some things that were good and some things that weren't. But his Sibelius was mostly pretty terrific, almost entirely terrific. And I would have started, I know the Bach's 4, I would have included Gibson's disc of Elgar Overtures. I think that is the hottest disc of Elgar Overtures. I mean, the cocaine, whatever you want to call it, that thing. And in the South, it is the most beautiful sounding recording. It showed us, so many of us, for the first time, the glory of the Scottish National Orchestra and the splendor of the Chandos approach to recording and sonics. Oh my God, it was gorgeous. In the South, that opening of In the South. Wow. But I do think, that's me, of course. I do think that it's an indication of just how splendid the Chandos legacy is, that we're all going to be able to come up with favorite recordings that were not included. And of course, they can't include everything. I mean, we know that. That goes without saying. So mazel tov, people. You've done great work. It's been a pleasure and an honor to review it over the years. Whether I've liked it or not liked it doesn't make any difference. It is important and meaningful and serious and just high quality, top level stuff. Keep on listening, folks. Thank you for joining me. Take care.